Heya, I'm Luke Westaway and this is the Acer Aspire 1 521 netbook. Now, netbooks tend to be pretty much identical to each other, so when a manufacturer does something a little bit different, it always piques our interest. The 521 breaks from the norm by using a fairly uncommon processor, but more on that later. Let's check out the design. This is a good looking netbook and we'd defy anyone to say otherwise. Look at this black gloss lid with chrome finish on the logo and this subtle checked pattern on the left side. It puts us in mind of a particularly tricky crossword puzzle. On the inside, things aren't so glitzy, but they are still impressive. Check out this keyboard, which is massive considering we're talking about a netbook. We found it to be very comfortable and the large keys helped keep mistakes to a minimum. As with everything in life, however, there's a trade-off to be made. That big keyboard means there's not much room left over for the trackpad, which is really tiny. It's not such a big deal because even though it's small, it is very sensitive and we didn't have much trouble when mousing our merry way around our favourite programs. This display is so bright it might just melt your eyeballs. In a nice way. This is a 1024 by 600 pixel screen and as you can see it looks very pretty indeed, even though it's not got a particularly high resolution. We mentioned earlier that Acer had done something a bit different with this machine. Whereas most netbooks use Intel's battery-sipping Atom processors, the 521 runs on an AMD V105 CPU, clocked at 1.2 GHz. We had high hopes that mixing up the status quo would make for some impressive performance, but sadly when we tried playing some HD video on this netbook we found it didn't cope very well at all. That's made even more disappointing when you realise there's an HDMI output on the side of the 521, which would have been perfect for connecting this netbook to your telly and watching your favourite films. Battery life is alright, but nothing to write home about. When we pushed the 521 CPU to its limits, it held out for just a fraction over 3 hours. Now that's not terrible, but we've seen other netbooks last a lot longer. Despite average performance and battery life, we still like the Acer Aspire 1 521 because it's well designed and it's easy to use. Check out CNET UK for the full review. I'm Luke Westaway and this is the Acer Aspire 1 521.